the start time just a little bit. There's some folks coming into town. They're flying in from San Francisco. We don't know. I think they'll be here at 5 o'clock, so I hope you don't mind waiting just a little while.
Pizza's on the way. Not really.
So we'll have a short delay.
Just a short.
As you, if you don't know, this is Corey Roy right over here. Stand up, Corey Roy. And introduce your bride.
From Virginia. How'd you say that?
I come from Virginia.
Yeah,
Fred and Lynn were coming through Richmond, Virginia, and I just happened to be in town with Jackie. We were visiting our relatives there. So Fred says, hey, we're going to go over to Cold Harbor Restaurant right here to the east towards Mechanicsville. You all know where that's at, and on the east side of Richmond. So I get there, breakfast, great breakfast place, and they had the electricians union of the local power company. They were just all retired guys, and they were just gathering. There must have been 45, 50 guys there. And Fred and Len invited me to sit over there, and then Corey's future in-laws were sitting right, well, I think they were in-laws, well, at least your dad. And so I was sitting next to her dad, and he introduced himself, I introduced, we talk about growing up in Richmond since I grew up there. And long story short, he went to George Wythe High School.
You gotta make it long.
Yeah. He went to George Wythe High School in the 8th grade. I started in the 8th grade at George Wythe. We were best buddies during the 8th grade. His name is Mike Comer, and someday he'll come out and visit here, maybe. And so that was just, the small world that we often live in here. Okay, now your turn.
What was I gonna say? That was that story. That was a good one. So yeah, my niece is, she lives in Henderson, Nevada with her husband and family, and they got delayed in San Francisco, and so delayed, and then now they're just landing. They already landed in Redmond a few minutes ago, and then my other niece who lives down south of La Pine, they're coming in to pick her up, and then they'll be here. But we can start in a few minutes.
Could we have a Corey story? There are probably lots of those.
Where do you want to start with a Corey story?
Corey growing up as a teenager.
Are those good memories or bad memories?
I don't
know. His brother, Derek, our other son, is in Welch's, Oregon, but he's has COVID presently, so he wasn't able to show up either. And then my uncle, my mom's younger brother by like 10 years, is in San Juan Capistrano, California. Him and his wife, they're right at 80 years old, and she started having some problems, went to the ER a couple times last week, and he's got some issues with his heart and stuff, so they canceled their flights and decided to stay home too. So small group of our actual family, nice group of our church family. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. And so, yeah, I didn't tell a Corey story though.
No, I didn't hear anything in there.
Okay. Last night was a thing called Burns Night, which is Robert Burns was a poet in Scotland. And so Corey kind of got into the Scottish thing over there when he was in Virginia. Well, it started here, wearing kilts in school. He made his very first kilt for high school. And at school, he was known as Kilt Boy. I'd go to school or I'd see people and talk about Corey, and they're like, I don't know who Corey is. And then you say Kilt Boy, and they knew who that was. And so I think he was always in trouble too, so they always collared up to the office. Anyways, so it was Robert Burns Night, and he was back home last week, and he's like, hey, we're coming out, and we're going to miss Burns Night here in Virginia, which is a big deal there, lots of pipe bands and stuff. And he goes, is there anything going on in Bend? And we're like, I don't know. So Lynn Googles it up, and there was a dinner last night, or Burns dinner at the Elks Lodge. So we got 4 tickets, and we all went to Burns. He brought his kilt and his dress wear, and it was pretty fun. We had a little dance and tried some haggis. Yep, it was all traditional. They had some non-traditional, they had some sausages there if you didn't want to try the haggis. So I'm still alive today. It tasted pretty good. And not too much gravy on it even, so.
Corey, I want to know, how did you two meet here? You were a first mate on a ship. Is that the USS Virginia at the time? Is that right? The schooner Virginia. Okay, that's right. Virginia is another battleship. Sorry. Sorry. So, did you spot her, or did she spot you? Is that right? This captain of the ship, first mate on a ship, and he looked pretty good with all.
Shorts on. Navy shorts, diving.
And this has been how long ago? 5 years. And you got married just last year, is that right? 2 years. Okay, okay. And you both invested in your own ship in the recent year, 2 years ago at that time? 2020, invested in, it's called Windsong, is that right? It's not USS Windsong, so it's just, so they're all schooners. Okay, Windsong, and you got to ask them to see the ship that they own. And they do 2-hour tours, launch out of Charles City, Virginia. Cape Charles, sorry. I'm from Virginia, I still get it wrong. And then that's on the, I call it the Eastern Seaboard, but what would we call it? Eastern Shore. If you've never been to Virginia, the Eastern Shore, you go across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. If you decide to go that way.
Go see the horses.
Got the wild horses, like we have in Madrid. So that's just an invitation. They're inviting you all out.
Yeah, they're doing charters this summer. Just find them online and they'll book you up. So,
Len, do you have a story about Corey? An endearing story that you would like to share?
as we stall.
Here. Because I'm going to go to Ariana, because she has a story.
Ariana just had a baby, so.
Well, 8 months ago.
Almost still a baby.
I'm not good at stories on the spot. I'd have to think about it.
What about the one we broke his arm when he was a little kid?
Oh, yeah, I don't.
Or was that Derek?
She's saying is when he broke his arm when he was little, but I don't. He was 3 then. That was too long ago.
I think Derek
Okay,
pushed
when
him.
they were 3, right before bedtime. Right before bedtime, when Corey was 3 and Derek was like 20 months younger, all of a sudden I hear this crack, and they had one of those little play school slides, and they were getting ready for bed, and Derek pushed Corey down the slide, and he landed and broke both bones on his arm. And yeah, it's like get out of the way. I'm ready to go down the slide. Well, you told me you got pushed, but I guess who knows. I feel like I should tell a story about Rose, but I. Okay. When my first meeting with Rose, so we go down to Southern California and Anaheim on Tola Place, and it was one of those old style houses where, you know, there's a hallway, but all the rooms are shut off by individual doors, and the kitchen had doors on 2 sides of it. Well, so she liked to make schnitzel for Freddie because, you know, he liked that. Yeah, only his family calls him Freddie. So we had a good dinner, and then I go to start bringing dishes in the kitchen, and she said, "Okay, you do the dishes," and she shut the doors and walked out and left me in the very messy kitchen to clean up all the dishes. And I just figured that must be the German way, so I just did it. Yeah.
Was that before you got married?
Mom always had she didn't love the lid off the get-go. Might have taken about 35 years. So anyways, near the end there, Mom was really embraced her and embraced her help, and she's been wonderful. And yeah, she lived here. She got to know her better. Lynn put together the slideshow for us, so let's just go ahead and start, Ken, if you want to open us up in prayer. I know. Oh, it's the video to start. Okay, Joy.
Okay.
I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. He speaks, and the sound of his voice is so sweet. The birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known.
What a precious song. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, family, for being a part of what we're here for sending off Rose Fisher, Fred's mom. Fred's going to get up here and just go over some things and discuss some things and invite you to all participate. But I'd like to open in prayer right now. Thank you, God, for the chance to be here, to be present for our sister Rose. And the Roys are so precious to us, and we very much want to be here in honor and also receiving from you in every way possible. Thank you, Father. We want to thank you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thanks, Ken. I'm basically, to start here, we'll just read off this, my mom's story. So it says she was born in a small Bavarian village of Poppenlauer, September 16th, 1932. Her birthday was also the day we got her back home this last September into her home from the nursing home. She was the firstborn child of Joseph and Hilda Federline, given the name of Rosa Theresia Federline. She has a sister, Maria, who's still in Germany, kind of in an apartment kind of complex. And before their father passed at a young age due to an accident, Hilda later remarried and gave birth to their brother Eddie. And I told you my uncle wasn't able to make it. He sent us a little video, so we'll play that a little later. He came quite a few times this last year to help and support us and help us with Mom and get things going here, so that was really nice. Their growing years included the time around World War II, and Rose shared many memories of those times. As most girls of that era, she also learned to sew, knit, and attended cooking school. I guess these are some of her things here that she made on the table. She met her first husband, George Roy, my dad, while he was with the American Army. And their first daughter, Dottie, was born in Germany. And then a couple years later, they joined George at his home in Canada. Eventually, the family immigrated into Michigan, where the second daughter, Tina, was born. Most of you remember Tina, and she passed away in 2018 here. She loved coming to this church. She loved it here. And she was a sweetheart. And later to Southern California, where I was born, 1950-something. She was mostly a mother and a housewife. And my dad worked away as a pile driver mostly. He never wanted me to learn how to spell pile driver, so I didn't do that. But he would go on like year-and-a-half stints to Saudi Arabia and Indonesia. He went all over the world and spent good time in Ecuador and stuff too. She did a variety of things to bring in some extra income. She was waitressing at the local German club, which I also had to work there, because she was there sometimes, selling spiral hams during the holidays, and then later on took some classes at Cypress College, worked at a bank for a while. She remarried in '71 to Frank Fisher. Frank was Czechoslovakian. He had an interesting story about escaping from Czechoslovakia with his family that he had there, driving through the border guards, being shot at and all that. Wild stuff. So anyway, then Tina was in the care, my mom's care most of her life. So Tina had special needs, and Mom took care of her. I was real concerned when Frank passed away that I was real concerned when Tina passed away that Mom wouldn't last very long, but she was strong and she did well after that. And because Tina was her life, she really spent a lot of time taking care of Tina. Mom and Frank liked to travel. They went to places like Peru and Brazil, Fiji, Hawaii. Multiple trips everywhere. They took Tina to Hawaii several times, had a good time there with her. They would go back to Poppenlauer to visit family and Frank's relatives in Czechoslovakia. And you'll see a bunch of the videos. They had a camper and a truck. They would do a lot of road trips into the Northwest here and Canada, visiting all their children and grandchildren. She had a strong, outgoing personality who liked to dance. She had fun, and she liked being with her family, generally let one know right out what was in her opinion. What was what in her opinion. So, yeah, she didn't hold back too much, so she was good. She had lots of good opinions. She's survived by her sister, Maria Buell of Poppenhausen, Germany. Her brother Edgar Warmouth of San Juan Capistrano. Her daughter Dorothy Roy. My older sister's out of Medford, Ashland. Myself, of course. She has 4 grandchildren, Corey and Derek, and Jasa and Trinity, which they may get here sometime. She has 5 great-grandchildren and 1 great-great-granddaughter. I think the great-great-granddaughter is going to be here today, too. So that'll be cool. She was predeceased by her first husband and children's father, George Roy, her second husband, Frank Fisher, and her daughter, Tina Marie. So she passed away on November 3rd. So she had quite a battle. She broke her hip first, and then she went through all the transition stuff and into a home for a while. We promised to get her home, and that was our goal, and that was even like in her will and stuff for what she wanted in her life at the end was to be at home. So we made that happen with a lot of work, and then and Eddie was here, like I said, and then at home we had a nice caretaker and had substitute caretakers to give her breaks, and then Mom's dementia and her Alzheimer's was getting to her pretty bad, and so she got up one night and fell again and broke her pelvis, and then that one was really hard, and so they couldn't really do much for her. They couldn't repair the pelvis, and so it was a pretty quickly downhill after that. But we were back home and stuff, so she was where she wanted to be. So let's see what we got going, Ken. I guess we'll go ahead and do that slideshow then. Okay.
Ich kann, wenn ich will, ich tu's aber nicht. Du sagst, was ich darf und nun tu ich's gerade nicht, weil ich so ein Trotzkopf bin. Weil ich so ein Trotzkopf bin. Ich möchte ja schon, ich geb's nur nicht zu. Ich küsse dich gern, doch ich komm ja nicht dazu, weil ich so ein Trotzkopf bin. Weil ich so ein Trotzkopf bin.
Yeah, this is my niece Jasa and her husband Jason. Wonderful. Was Trinity here? Oh, she's changing up the baby. Okay. Thank you guys. So didn't see us sneak in. We tried to delay, but these guys are. So we told dumb stories for a few minutes, and then.
Everybody's told stories except you, so now it's up to you to tell the rest of the stories here. Do you want to do that?
She can tell her story. She wants.
Okay.
Let's start her off.
Stand right here.
Okay, sorry. Thank you all for waiting, and we're glad that we made it. We were stuck in San Francisco for a few hours. Okay. So my name is Jasa, and I'm Rose's granddaughter. I didn't get through Tina's service well, but I told myself I was going to, so I have notes here, and I'm going to try to stick by them. This is my husband, Jason. So yes, we're Jason and Jasa. Took me a long time to find the right one. There's a lot out there, but my Oma lived a long, fruitful life, and for that I'm happy. And I know that she was happy and proud of her accomplishments in life. Oma saw a lot in her many years. I love all the pictures. They're beautiful, and I love the past pictures. Being born in Germany in the 1930s and enduring bombings during World War II, that left the family seeking safety by fleeing to the basement. Pneumonia would set in, and for a bit, and her mom and siblings, with pneumonia was hard to treat back then. She told me one story of pushing her baby sister in a buggy to the hospital. She was very ill, and her mother was far too sick to get the baby there. So a 9-year-old Rose pushed her baby sister, her beautiful baby sister that she described as beautiful with red hair and blue eyes, to the hospital through the streets in Germany to leave the baby there because the baby died of pneumonia. That hurt her heart, and it was a hard memory for her that she only spoke of really a couple times with me. My Oma was a great, wonderful grandmother to me, a great grandmother to my children. You can see she was a wonderful wife to my Opa and a wonderful mother to her kids, and the strongest mom and advocate that she could be for our beloved Tina, my Aunt Tina, whom she cared for to the very best of her ability, and for her whole life, being there as a strong mom. Thank you. And therefore, she taught me what strong looks like, because that couldn't have been easy. I had the amazing fortune to have my Oma so very close to me and my family in Southern California for much of my adulthood, and I leaned on her for advice and love. And after all, she was the only family around us for about 15 years. Oma and I became very close upon moving to Southern California, and almost like a mom to me. I could lean on her and count on her for anything. Oma came to every baby's birth down there. We have 4, but there were 3 that were born down there in total. And she helped watch my kids. She came to us, even though we lived a half an hour apart, many times because she knew it was difficult to load all the kids up. And that was always very kind of her. My children were very close to her as well. Currently, they're 9, 13, and 15, and then we have a 25-year-old. And they love their Oma so much and miss her influence in their lives. She would always bring a puzzle or some kind of a game to my house. Maybe the kids didn't think it was the best game, or the best puzzle, or it might have been a big puzzle that had one missing piece. You know those kind. The kids are never happy when you spend hours and then there's one missing piece. Even in her 80s, she would fly down from Oregon after she moved here and stay with us, and just in her nightgown, down on the ground, down in her 80s, playing with the kids on the ground, even at that age. She enjoyed spending time with them, and they loved her very much. As most of you know, my husband Jason and I'll try not to make this too long, but it's kind of long, have a child with cerebral palsy. And in her first year of life, it was difficult. We had 10 hospitalizations, and she has supported us emotionally. And as we navigated our way through that very treacherous time, my Oma was always there and knew if I ever needed anything, I could count on her. She didn't care where she was. She would be there. One day when we were managing our jobs, with this child that was medically fragile and seizures uncontrollably, and she said, bring her here. I said, I have to go to this lunch, for work, and she said, you bring her here. And while I was grateful, seeing a solution to my problem at the time, I surely doubted this when I walked in and there was my Opa who was dying of cancer on oxygen, and she's like, hand me this baby with more oxygen and medications, and I'm quickly understanding this might not have been the best idea. But she read my face and she said, no, you leave her here. She's fine, go. So only one other strong woman has offered to sit with our medically fragile child that wasn't a nurse, and that's my sister, and I was hoping to honor her. There she is. Come in, by saying that. So through her actions, my Oma showed us strength, and she taught that to us girls. She always made me laugh, and I loved to make her laugh too. She was always feisty, always, and sometimes pushy. Sometimes you just had to give it back to her, and she would look at you with a smile. She would stop, look at me, pretending to disapprove of me, and then we would both crack up laughing. Sometimes you just had to call her bluff. In June, my oldest daughter, Zen, and I flew up here to spend some time with her, and it was a lot of fun. We went to her favorite restaurant, and Madeline's, and for ice cream. I'm grateful for the memories. All the time we spent in California for many years with Oma and Tina, I will cherish forever. I miss her daily. I keep a picture of the two of us from about 20 years ago. We both looked very good 20 years ago, right by my bedside, and I never knew how much I would miss her saying my name, like only she can, Cheza. Thank you guys for coming today. Thank you for holding the service for us.
Appreciate that. We have a moment where you can share memories with the family. If you would like to share, just raise your hand, and I'll pass the mic over to you. And I'll tell one real quick story. One day, just over here where Steve Henley's sitting, the Roys were sitting there with Rose. I walk in, I had one of my sweaters that I pulled off the shelf to wear to church on a cold day, and I walk up and say hi to the Roys, and Rose sits there and says, oh my gosh, that is such a beautiful sweater. I think Fred should have a sweater like that. So I took off the sweater and handed it to Fred. He didn't take it. Fred is not a sweater guy, so but Rose had good taste. Anybody want to add something here? Good. I hope so. Please stand up.
So I'm Jason Hatcher again. Oma was a lot to us, and I'll never forget our third child was scheduled to be born probably around 9:30 p.m. We had it all planned, and we were out in Loma Linda, and Oma showed up, but we had to check in the morning, so we check in at 8:15. Oma shows up at 8:30. I don't know how she gets to the room, but she's in the room, right? Like just no barricade was stopping her to get to that birth. And I looked at her, I said, hey, Oma, I said, I don't think the baby's coming until, maybe later tonight around 9:30. I'll wait all day. I'm like, okay, no problem. So the nurse comes in, nurse says, do you want anything? Oma says, yeah, I love some food. So she gets a big plate of food. She eats the food. It's about 9:15. She goes, I can't wait. I'm going to the casino. And then she came back later. And then another great story. So Zen, our oldest child, she's about 25 now. And so when Zen was 12, 13, Oma says, you're going to Germany with me. I'm taking you to Germany for a month in the summertime. And it was my job to take Zen and Oma and Tina to the airport. And so we get to the airport. I said, okay, Oma. I said, what are you guys flying? Are you flying first class, business class? What coach? What's going on? We're flying coach. I'm like, okay, great. And the line is easily 200 people deep, right? We're in LA, 200 people deep. I'm like, all right, well, we'll go get in this line, okay? She goes, no, in her best, yeah, no. So I'm like, okay. She goes, take me to that line, and she was in a wheelchair. So I wheel her up, and no, she wasn't. She wasn't in a wheelchair yet. We walk up, and the guy goes, do you have first class tickets? She says, no, I don't have first class tickets, but I need a wheelchair. Yeah, I need a wheelchair. He goes, no problem. And he let her skip the whole line and wheelchair it straight through. And Zen's like this big, and she's turning around looking at me. She's like, Dad, is this okay? I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Just go there. She's got you. So that's, and we have a lot of stories that way. And I can't say it like Jasa can, but the kids run around the house, and it's either Mom or Jasa, and it's hilarious. So we will miss her dearly. My family will miss her very dearly, and it's a heartfelt to the whole family, to Fred and to Dottie and the rest. So,
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
So Brown doesn't want me to tell this story, but it's one of my favorite with Oma. So the first time that Brown came home with me was 2019 to meet everybody. And we went to Olive Garden for dinner to meet Oma that day. They were already there, I think, and Oma was seated at the table. So we sat down, we had dinner. But when we got up to leave, Brown got up, and then Oma got up and looks down at her and says, oh my God, she's so little. That's all I got.
That's all you got?
Ariana, you want to say anything? No? It's your opportunity. She didn't like you. Okay. Well, obviously, she probably was too. Would you like to share something? Okay. Here we go, Paul.
Hi, I'm Paul Strasser. We go to Foundry here, and we love Fred and Lynn dearly. We typically sit right over here for church on Sundays, and Fred and Lynn sit behind us, as did Rose. And I've got 3 daughters, and they're all little blondies, and Rose always loved them. She was just so sweet and very encouraging. And with every daughter that I had, she would say, come here. I will tell you how to have a boy. How I got my little Freddie. And it was so cute because it was recurring. And so now 3rd daughter comes. She says, well, you still need to know the trick, but you have another beautiful daughter. What did you name her? And so I told her, we named her Penny. And she said, Penny? I had a Cocker Spaniel named Penny. That's no name for a girl. And I thought, you're right. Maybe you're right. But it was, she did have a way about her that was energetic and lively. And I didn't know her when she was young, but I can only imagine. So we remember her well, and still haven't had that boy.
Who's next? Are you going to share? Do you want to share?
No, thank you.
No? Okay. Okay. Oh, gosh. Lynn, you have a story?
I guess I can. I mean, yes, I have stories. I only had wished, especially going through all the old pictures. I wish I had known her more when she was younger, but getting to know her in the last 8 years since she moved up here has also been rewarding. And I think she actually told, I'm not sure if it was you or Eddie, she said, I'm getting to know her and I actually like her. I'm like, oh, that's nice to know. But yeah, and just I guess the memories I have right now, I already had shared earlier about the first time I ever met her. I suppose I could repeat a little bit. Went to with Fred to her house in Southern California, the old style house where there's a hallway and all the rooms have their own doors off of that room, and she had made Fred schnitzel and, feeding her Freddie. And then when we were all done and I went to help take dishes into the kitchen, she shut both doors of the kitchen and said, "You do the dishes." And so I did the dishes. And she was a good cook, but she was a messy cook. There was flour and stuff everywhere from making the schnitzel. So I cleaned the whole kitchen. But then in recent years, we've had a lot of just fun days. We would take her for drives and, try to get her out somewhere besides the casino and, the lakes. She liked Elk Lake. She did not like Subtle Lake. She was very opinionated on which places she liked and didn't like. But I guess one of my thankful times has been lately when I finally started realizing that there was really a need for me to kind of take steps in the house to help her around the house more. And we always would do dishes and things like that when we went over. But I started gathering up towels out of the bathrooms and clothes that were all lined up on the bar stools around the kitchen counter and doing dishes. And one of the days, she didn't really want to sort out stuff, but like a lot of older people, she had a lot of things. And I would just I said, I'm going to clean the coat closet. So the first closet in the hallway and when you get in the house. I just started holding him up in front of her. She's laying back on the couch. She had her little glass of wine. And I would hold him up and say, stay or go, stay or go. And she finally started letting go of some things. And after a while, she's sitting there and I'm doing all the work, bringing all this stuff. And she said, "This is fun. We should do this more often." She was really enjoying that. But anyway, I guess that's kind of my story. And I had asked Eddie not too long ago when he was here, because it just looked like they had, was realizing that they had a closer relationship than I had realized over time. And I just asked him because I've only known her really well in the later years of her life. And he just said, yeah, she used to be a lot of fun. And you can see that when you see the pictures of her life. And she very much did love all of her family, her kids and her grandkids a lot. So.
Thank you. We are, I'm going to stand back because, oh, that's right. Okay. Video.
Okay. Hello, family and friends up north. I just wanted to say hello, and I'm sorry we had to cancel our flight and we couldn't be there. I'm just so grateful that I was able to come up in September for 3 days, spend quality time with Rose. And I remember her saying to me a long time ago, she went to the Anaheim Stadium with Billy Graham Crusade and she accepted Christ. As a result of that, I believe she's in heaven today. One of the hardest things she had to deal with was losing Tina. And it's not supposed to happen that kids pass away before we do. But God promises us that we have troubles with our life, yes, but He's always going to be with us. Anyway, I miss Rose and I love her. I love you guys for all you've done. And have a great celebration of life for Rose. And talk to you later. Bye-bye.
I got some notes too, but I'll try to see what I can do without them. Can't read them, so it doesn't matter. When Mom used to tell some stories about in Germany, and I got them here actually. One of the things she was saying about when the Nazis came in, and besides trying to get to the hospital and things like that they had to deal with, they came and they took her skis. She had cross-country skis, and they needed them for the military, their armies. And then they also took their German Shepherd because they wanted the dogs for that stuff. So it was a really, really hard time for them back then, I think. And then, when she met my dad, and I think that was all good fun for a while. And then, she had to come to Canada, and she's just speaking German, and she doesn't really know the language. And, nowadays you go to Europe, and most people know English very well. And so, you know, they have a couple, 2 or 3 languages they do, but at the time it was really hard for her. And then, you know, they transitioned to California. But then, you know, there's so many people and resources. They got into the German club there locally and stuff, so they had a great time there. So I was talking about, let's see. Yeah, a couple of the stories I remember, we had, she always loved to drive fast. So Southern California, when you grow up in Southern California, or that's where she was driving, I grew up there, so I don't have a problem on freeways or Portland or anything. She would drive so fast. And even here, you know, one day she told me, she goes, "Freddie, I got pulled over." I'm like, "Yeah, for what?" She goes, "I was doing 30 over." And I'm like, "30 over what?" And she's like, 30 over 55. And I'm like, "Well, Mom," you know, it's like Central Oregon has, you know, 2-lane road. So anyways, she drove until she was almost 91. They took her license away. We were at a Christmas parade in Redmond. Mom wasn't there. Mom was up at the casino, and we get this call, you know, "Hey, Fred, got your mom here. She needs a ride home." So she was going like 35 miles an hour because she couldn't see in the dark very well anymore, but she still wanted to drive. And in the casino, it would be so dark, she didn't know what time it was. There's no clocks or anything, you know. And I kept stressing to her to get out of there. We got to leave at 4 o'clock. So anyway, she's driving home at 35. There's like 3 miles of traffic behind her, and they finally pulled her over and said that was it. So that was funny. Frank had a Porsche 914, and it was orange, and it was a mid-body thing. And so Tina and her and I could barely fit in there, but we were going camping one time up to, is it Kings Canyon and Sequoia? Is it called Sequoia? And the windy roads, and I mean, she's like a race car driver. It's just like, I just remember that was one of my memories of her driving. It was pretty crazy. She was just, I don't know how we survived our years as teenagers, but let alone with a mom like that. So she was. They used to go to the beach a lot. Their favorite beach was Corona Del Mar. And you saw the pictures of them in swimsuits and stuff, but Frank actually had like a regular bathing suit. But all the years I remember him in Corona Del Mar, he had like a Speedo, like the Europeans all like, you know, back in the day. And so it was kind of embarrassing for me. I was always at the beach with this guy. I was like, I'll go play in the waves, I think. I don't know this person. But we did that a ton. Lynn was telling me how she always took care of me in the old days, and I don't even remember, but like she would always send me socks and T-shirts and underwear and things to, you know, make sure that her little boy was okay. I guess, I don't know if the girls were okay just because they're girls, and then she had to take care of me. She always says I was perfect, but I'm not. I think it was real. I have a good memory, it's just short, so what happened early on I think was real. What else was I going to say? The one time when we got married, the first day we were married in Bend here, out by Sisters. We had a reception at the River House, and we had a room for the night. And so we went there. Mom was there, and we had I was been a tree planter right prior to meeting Lynn, and planted a lot of trees, did a lot of tree thinning, working out in the woods, you know, with big tough guys mostly. And I was still kind of skinny kid, but. I remember Mom saying that she's, "I've been all over the world, and I had to come to Bend, Oregon to find a real man," you know, and there was all these logger types that were just big, muscular, young guys that were, she would like that. She was pretty funny that way. So, and, you know, as some people were talking about the kids, you know, I mean, yeah, she loved Trinity and Jason, but boy, when they started having kids their own, she just loved the grandkids, and Trinity's daughter, Symbol, and then now Symbol has a great-granddaughter, but Trinity would bring her out to Mom's house, and she just loved every time they visited. She loved going to see Jason, as much as a pain in the she was for them sometimes. She was really, really loved all the family, and so that was really cool. We were really thankful for Frank. He was just really pretty quiet man, and he you know, nobody really knew a lot about him. He went to work all the time. He provided for Mom so well, and he was just like an electrician working for Kraft Foods, and you know, worked in their departments there. But he was doing these investing we didn't even know about, and he was go in the garage, and he would tell Mom to leave him alone for a while, and he would just do his stuff, and he was making all these investments. So in the end, when after he had passed, then my uncle Eddie, her brother, got involved and helped her with the finances and got everything kind of consolidated, and realized that he had set her up really nice. So it was really, I don't know, it's such a blessing when someone is set up to be able to take care of themselves for the rest of their lives. So we're really appreciative of that, what Frank did there. So anyways, I want to thank you all for coming. We love our family. And Ariana, we always laugh about, well, I always tell the story about Ariana because we had our 2 boys, you know, and then I'd see other families with daughters and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, I'm so thankful God gave me boys, you know, just like I just couldn't deal with a girl, you know. And then one day this girl showed up at our house, and we kept her. And pretty cool. So we love our family. Corey's here. Wish Derek was here, but I think he's watching, and I think Eddie's watching. So I want to thank you all. We got some little snacks if you guys want to say hi for a few minutes back there in the gathering place, and we have a prayer. Okay, there you go. Thanks.
Great to be together. Great to get, and thank you for the stories that came about, and it was just always the best. You know, whenever we come together, we like to send off our sisters and brothers and just in some way secure them in their journey from here. And God has always got a place for us, has an appointed time for all of us. And Rose invited Jesus in. Jesus did the invitation first, and Rose responded. And we know that we will be talking with her quite a bit more, and she'll have some things for us, I'm sure. But she's preparing for her family, who she dearly loves, in all of eternity. So let's close here. Our God, we are thankful for the chance to celebrate a life of Rose. And Father, just the tidbits of stories that we hear today, what an incredible person she has been. I know that we have come together to not secure, but offer her to you in all of eternity. And you have a place for her. And Father, thank you for the Roy family, the rest of the extended family that surrounds Rose or has all of her days. What an adventure that she has had. We offer this in Jesus' name. Amen. Please feel free to go back to the meeting place, and thank you all for being here.
It's just a question about the slideshow. You guys, since you guys came in late, if you'd want an opportunity to see it, we probably could replay it. Is that okay? I don't know if you want to do that right now or.